You think it's from the game, but it's actually my nose tape that I sleep with.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Inside the Black Jersey. And what a day it is to be a New Zealand fan. Incredible stuff. What a roller coaster of emotions it was in the weekend. The All Blacks get up 33 points to 16. And I'll tell you what, we're taking you straight to where all the action was today. We've got George Bower, a guest on the show very shortly, and Sean Fitzpatrick as well. So it's a front row sandwich because for me, Brad Weber, that's what South African footy is all about. I'm George Harper Jr. and I cannot be more excited to be here. Brad, look, it was just stressful to watch. At halftime, you're begging for the whistle to blow, and then all of a sudden we've won 5 tries to 1. What are a few takes for you, mate? Because, well, it's simply incredible to say that we're now 1-0 up in the greatest rivalry.
Well, George, thank God we've got a couple of front rowers coming on and joining us later because I tell you what, there's no expertise between you and I when it comes to the dark arts and amongst a scrummaging session. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what both George and Fitzy have to say about it because, man, that really was the talking point from the game, wasn't it? I mean, the lads just got beat up and spat out in the first half, and yeah, he's sort of really quite nervous around sort of where the penalty count was getting to, and they were just looking super dangerous with their physicality and the intensity that they were bringing. But then, man, something flicked, particularly in that sort of last 25 minutes. Crucial scrum penalty one on our own line that's been talked about, and so it should be. And I'm really looking forward to hearing George Bower's insight because he was literally right at the coalface when that was going down. So, mate, just super proud of how the team bounced back. It really was sort of the All Blacks of old, wasn't it? From that sort of golden era of like 2011 to 2015. It was where the intensity of the last 20 minutes just blew the Springboks away.
How's it going, lads? Oh,
so good, brother. Man. So good. Good to see you, man. You're looking well. What's happened to that schnoz of yours?
Is it a bit of bark off the front?
yeah, you think it's from the game, but it's actually my nose tape that I sleep with. Kind of ripped off and it ripped the skin off. So. Well, shocker, eh?
Oh, you're a big snorer. You're trying to open the airwaves to stop that.
He's got to open the airways, mate.
I hope it worked.
I think my roomie says it works, so my roomie's Timothy. He's a heavy sleeper, doesn't wake up to anything, so it must work.
That's very good. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, the man of the moment, Gio Bower, is in the building. Gio, you've got a record of 2-0 at Ellis Park. Not a bad starting point in your career, brother. Mate, talk us through an amazing night at Ellis Park.
Yeah, it was pretty special night. Once the whistle blew, but it was an absolute test match, I reckon. From the start to right to the end. Had a bit of everything in that test match. A lot of physicality, but then also, I guess for us as All Blacks, a lot of kind of solution-based focuses, and you really had to adapt on the run and move on to your next job. So there was some good learning in that area for us, especially us as a forward pack. And then couldn't go past the crowd as well. The crowd is always a hype and a vibe there at Ellis Park, one of the best crowds around. And I said in an interview earlier, it was kind of like, 24th man when they get their voice up and they start chanting and singing. So, but it's all part of that experience at Ellis Park, eh? And then to top it off, the altitude as well is, woo. That's something.
Let's not beat around the bush, how we talk about team and we talk about all these, all the mottos of the All Blacks, but let's just go straight to the fact of, imagine that all the props and all the type 5 in the world are listening to this podcast. Like, how different, how unique is that challenge to be a big boy up front against the South Africans in South Africa?
Yeah, it is very, very unique. Altitude, you're scrumming against, some of the best scrummages in the world. You're getting put to the test, your skills under fatigue, mentally, And I guess a lot of it came down to mental toughness as well for us as for myself and the boys around me as well. And I guess there was a few times there where they wanted to keep scrumming us. So for us, it was like, okay, mentally we had to really shift and say, okay, let's really put our all in this one. And things managed to work for a scrum, and kind of, I guess, was a momentum changer in the game. But I guess saying that, you have times throughout a week where you think about coming off the bench, and there could be a moment where you could be in that situation where it could, have the balance of the game in hand. And you do think about it. So coming to that, a few scrums there, I kind of knew what I had to do. Just keep my right shoulder on and keep my feet under me and just stay steady and let the boys behind me push. So and it's that's as simple as it is. But yeah, there are also some mind games, but that's another conversation, mate.
Let's talk about that scrum, the one where you guys won the penalty. We've been under pressure a lot. Like, talk us through sort of what there was a bit of time leading into that scrum as well. Like, what are you saying to your back five? Like, are you just saying, like, give me everything here? And is it, like, obviously all three of you bench front rowers were on at the time. Like, you guys had time on the bench to talk about what you wanted to get out of it once you got on the field. Like, what were you saying to the fellas there?
I think it was our third or fourth scrum, and South Africa were really giving it to us there. And for us, it was like, I guess the challenge, they kept wanting to challenge us, our scrum. And so I remember turning around to the boys, Fabes and Toops and Simon Parker, Liam, Simon Parker and Ardie. And then just kind of gave them boys, give me all you got, fire me out of the blocks, and just keep that load on, just keep it on, and just push, bro, just push, just give me the herbs. And,
just push, man.
And in the moment, you can just see we're connecting with eyes, and everyone's nodding, and you have the crowd going, and you have South Africa ready to scrum. But then, we just pack on in there, and I think what made it good was just our connection that myself, Asafwa, and Flex had built over that week as well. We built a strong connection. So coming to that third scrum, or that third or fourth scrum, we kind of just made eye contact, and we were like, let's just go and get it. And so we just locked it in and locked it down, and we were patient, but then also just let it fold out. But I guess we got that penalty there, and as I said, it was a momentum changer. But that was definitely a scrum that I remember for a bit, just of the context of it and how it had everything around it.
So and what should, Gio.
The fizz as well.
Man. You should be so proud.
Yeah, the fizz afterwards was great. And Gio, I love how you've mentioned a few like little words about alignment and getting everything in check. For people watching at home that might not know the process of each scrum, can you just give us like a checklist of everything that goes through your mind as you're approaching a scrum, like, and make it like, give it to us like you're explaining it in layman's terms, because it's so much goes into every scrum. So can you just sort of talk us through your thought process as you're coming into each scrum, and what it does take to get the alignment right, to get the hit on correctly?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll kind of give my tight head and my hooker a little tap. Make sure they're on.
All those details. I love all those little details already.
Then I'll get around my hooker's armpit. And I'll give him my face will be around his ear, so you almost can kiss him. So you can get a nice little grip around his jersey, and then I'll pull my right shoulder out. As soon as I pull that, that's a good, I guess it'll give me a good indication of my block, that connection with me and my hooker, which is where a tight head will attack if it's not on. And then once I finish that part of the process, then I'll go to my feet, making sure my feet are all aligned, and I have a good split stance. And then you'd want to kind of wait till the ref calls crouch. You crouch and you stay forward. On the bind, it's important that I get my high bind, but then I'm also braced, so I'm not kind of leaning back on that bind. That's what a lot of teams want. They kind of want to push you back on the bind so that you miss your set. So I'm braced on the bind, and then foot back, straight back into square. And then it's just waiting for the ref to call set. The anticipation is important. You're anticipating his set call so that you're trying to win the hit and win the punch. And then I guess the most important part after that is the second shunt, or that load after. That's where a team can make it or break it, as if you don't have that second load, you'll probably get pumped. So the importance for that ISO, really pulling it up and then get that second shunt from the back, and hopefully it goes well for you. If not, then it's a reset or you get penalized. So
and like after a scrum too, like you're ISO holding like at full strength with, you know, thousands of kilos of power of mass going through you. Like, are you, when you get up and you're trying to get to the next ruck, like, are you seeing stars? Like, what's going on? Like, are you, like, how long does it take until you can get straight into your
there are
next
some
job?
scrums, especially along ISO, where because you're just in there, just constant load for about 10, 15, 20 seconds sometimes. Once you get up, I just feel sometimes like my head's like, you get a bit of a oh shucks, all right, I'm spinning a bit. And then you're it's almost like you let the blood rush back into your brain, and then you're into your next job. And that's after a big ISO. So that can be pretty tough if that happens here. But I think we've done it so many times that we just keep our feet moving and just hope that we're in the right place.
And
But
I was having
that's it.
I was talking to Gruder over the silly season back in New Zealand, and I asked him a few similar questions, and he mentioned that you almost know before the scrums happen if you've got your opposition, or if you're going to almost win that scrum. Like, at what point is there this jostling? Because, you know, when a prop pulls out, you know, sometimes that's not for safety, that's to get the hell out of there. He's got the better of me. Like, at what point do you know, if there is that tipping point, when you know, like, I've got this guy, I'm in?
Yeah, I think it can be around that crouch, that bind part where you're braced, and if you're not braced as a prop, the opposition can feel that, and they'll get a quicker punch or a more effective punch, and then you're already losing the battle there. So that's a good way to kind of figure it out. And but I guess scrumming against the South Africans, sometimes it can feel like you got a good brace, you hit, and then all of a sudden there's a surge of power that comes from them as well. So it's a bit different with the Saffers or the bigger boys, like the Frenchies as well are similar. So but a lot of the time it can be depending on how powerful your brace is and balance at the same time, because you don't want to be leaning over the cliff where the ref can penalise you for leaning.
Well, it's
Gio, you've just given us some real good insight into technique. So I want you to just review this one video for us, please, of a technique, like just from scrummaging. I just want you to talk us through this guy's scrummaging technique, please.
no.
What are you seeing here?
Good wide base there. Biarticular line is all aligned from his shoulder to his ankle. Right shoulder. Oh, he's dropped his left shoulder there. That's nice.
He's just been crumbled, I think.
Well, the digging of the feet. You got to dig the feet in, mate. Dig the boots. It's probably.
I saw that.
Probably not.
That's class, man. It's all right. We can give you some more tips on that podcast.
Yeah, well, when the silly season comes around, I'll be challenging you happily. And just finally, to wrap things up before you go, mate. Obviously, hard not to get excited about being 1-0 up in the series, but how much tougher is it going to be knowing that there's going to be some bite back from the Bockies?
Yeah, obviously it was pretty cool winning in the weekend, but then straight away you have to reset to zero. It's so easy to float on that high and just ride the wave, and you miss a bit of detail. You could go into the week comfy, but that's definitely not us. We had a good reset, and we're into it yesterday and today, and we know that a hurt South Africa team or a hurt any team is a dangerous team. So they're going to come out all guns blazing. I'm in Cape Town, and we know where they're coming and how they're coming. So for us, we've got a few things we've got a lot of things that we worked on, and we'll come out guns blazing as well. But we know that it's going to be an awesome challenge in Cape Town, and we're looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, Gio, on that note, mate, thank you so much for coming on. We bloody appreciate your time on a busy series. You've done the nation proud, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of eyeballs again this weekend, mate. So well done, brother.
Thanks, Georgie. Thanks,
Go
bud.
well, Gio.
Good to see you guys. Good to chat to you guys.
Look after that schnoz, bro.
Yes, we'll do, mate. We'll do. Take care.
All right, joining inside the black jersey, the man of the moment, all of a sudden, just when he's disappeared, he couldn't have been everywhere else than at Ellis Park, 92 Test All Blacks, Sean Fitzpatrick. Mate, you skippered the team 30 years ago. How crazy was it to be standing in the position you were once again at Ellis Park the other night, mate?
Yeah, it was a little bit awkward, I must say. We had sort of been briefed about what we were doing, and Gary Teichmann, who was the captain 30 years ago for the Springboks, he carried his half, I carried my half. Then we went up the stairs, and they were pretty rickety stairs, I must say. I was a bit nervous about that. And then I was worried about we went back down. I was worried about the trophy falling off the plinth. But anyway, they said then the next brief was you're now going to hold your national flags for the national anthem. So I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. So then we're standing there, and then the All Blacks come and line up next to me, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is awkward. What do I do now? And then Ardie put his arm around me, and I must say that was like, wow. I felt very honoured, and it was just a really special moment, really. And sang the national anthems, and then I was off. But yeah, really special, great for the legacy, and as you guys know, it's a wonderful club to belong to, and for me, that was a really special time.
So I think we've actually got footage of it, thanks to Behind the Fern, Fitzy. I'm not too sure if you've actually seen the footage, but I think Mac might get it up for us here. And yeah, like you say, you sort of, Ardie just puts his arms around you, you throw it around him, and like, what's going through your head here? Like, you look pretty serious, pretty emotional.
Yeah, it was. Even now, I'm sort of thinking, wow. And then to have Cody, and my hand was around Ardie, and I was touching Cody, which we'd been together doing some stuff on Friday together. So I never thought that would be the case, to be standing in front of, and I suppose all the history of Ellis Park for me too. You know, the last time I stood there like that was 1995 or 96 even, but brought back a lot of memories of that. They tried to reenact 95 as much as they could, and yeah, just a wonderful moment, and then to be looking at all the support staff, the guys that hadn't stripped that were on the sideline also, was amazing.
Weren't tempted to jump in the Haka as well while you were at it?
I don't think so. No, definitely not. I was quite happy just to walk off and then go and watch a great test match, as we saw.
Yeah, well, let's dive into it, mate. What an incredible test it was. Genuinely a game of two halves. How do you assess it first and foremost? One of the All Blacks' best ever test wins.
I said to the guys that you don't know what you're going into. This is the most intimidating environment of world rugby, and for Cody and those guys, the question was to make sure the younger kids that hadn't experienced that environment ever, to try and tell them. But as much as you tell them, it's you just can't prepare yourself. And I just thought the way they stuck to their systems, when we were getting sort of pumped a bit at scrum in that end of that first half, I was thinking, we've got to dig in. And they did that, and to go into half-time leading by 1 point, I was just so impressed that they stuck to the systems, they trusted each other. They knew their game plan would work eventually, They defended unbelievably in that first half. They attacked unbelievably. And I think ultimately the Springboks, ran out of ideas basically.
Take us into what you mean by like how different it is up there, because we can obviously talk about the game at length, but what is in particular so different? Is it in the bottom of a ruck, in the dark places where the Africans are on a different planet? Is it the little things before the game? Is it the way they talk to the ref? Like, what are some of the things you've noticed, really small, minute things that all add up into those 1%ers?
I think ultimately what they are like us. I said to the guys, they are so like us. They like winning. They like preparing well. They like confrontation. They like the physical aspect of the game. And that's, for us, just being in that. And it's like going to New Zealand, for the Lions going to New Zealand, for South Africa going to New Zealand. It's a 24/7 job. It's just relentless pressure. Wherever you go, they're talking about it. I thought New Zealand was nuts about rugby. You've got to come to this place. The way that has just taken off, the pre-match atmosphere, the fan zones, the hotels, it's just relentlessly going at you the whole time. So to be able to deal with that, you've got to embrace it. I used to love it. I used to love coming here and playing. Because of the hostile environments. I love silencing the crowd. I love annoying them. And ultimately, if you can get on top of them, like the All Blacks did, especially in that sort of second half, that sort of when Fabian Holland got that charge down and the sort of whole momentum of the game changed. And if you take away their power game, they start to ask themselves questions. You can just look at the team they picked this week. They've gone back to Pollard, Reineck. They're going to take the points. You can guarantee if we're going to give away penalties this week, last week we got away with it. They didn't take the penalties. They didn't capitalise on the advantage they had. This week, I can guarantee, and you can see by the team they've named, it's going to be a different story. So we just can't give away soft penalties because we'll get punished.
Definitely. Fitzy, I love how you can sort of hear the passion and the emotion around playing in South Africa. And I want to take you back to 96. Like, it was 30 years ago, but it kind of sounds to me like it feels like yesterday for you. Is that sort of how it feels?
Honestly, I love being here, and I love what we did in 96. I love what I'm seeing from Dave Rennie and Ardie and the team in terms of, there's 44 of them, although I don't know what the numbers because there's coming and goings. But the 44 players and the 20-odd staff, you can just see there's a real bond. I went to the training last Thursday, and then we went to the captain's run on Friday, but you can just see the bond of the team and the management, which is exactly what we had in 96. We knew, and as I said earlier, that relentless pressure 24/7. You need everyone in the team, everyone, no matter who it is. You need everyone contributing to make, like tonight when we play the Lions, it's the same. The boys that played on Saturday are going to be given the same amount of effort and support to the guys that are playing tonight. I look at, you look at that team that's playing tonight. There's a couple of boys that have played over 100 tests, and I think back to 96. One of our greatest All Blacks ever was on the sideline, not even in his rugby gear, he was in his white shirt and a tie, Jonah Lomu, leading a haka as we walked off Loftus Versfeld, and that for me was like the happiest moment of the tour, because those boys had just given so much, and then we were able to deliver on the field, and it's exactly the same here. We're one up, that's great, and I love it, but we haven't achieved anything yet, and it's going to take a massive effort down the road here to go two up.
The pictures of you and the team after that win in Pretoria is incredible. Like you're just exhausted on the ground. Goldie's running down the pitch with his arms in the air, and like you say, like the guys that haven't played doing the haka for you guys, like it's just seriously special. Like when you look back at that 96 victory, like you guys, I think you've been quoted as saying that's like one of your greatest rugby achievements that you had, and you've had plenty. So I I guess that's one that shows how hard it is to win in South Africa. Like, you guys were the first over so long. Like, do you remember exactly how, especially getting over the disappointment from 95 as well, how you guys bonded so well as a team because was it 3-0 at that stage to win the series, wasn't it?
We didn't. Webby, we didn't really talk about 95.
Nice.
We knew what we had to do, and this was a different team. You know, Cully had come into the team. There's a few other players that weren't there in 95. You know, that team in 95 was an outstanding rugby team, and you know, we were the fittest and fastest team in the world, but maybe not the strongest. And we knew that to beat South Africa, we had to be the strongest. You know, that test in Cape Town, we knew going into that test, if you can take away their dominance, their physical dominance, they then start asking themselves questions, as we saw last Saturday in that second half of the second half. And, you know, we knew if we could do that, but I go back to it, we knew that we had to be a touring party. I think it was 36 players, and I think we had 9 management. And Ardie and Mike Banks and those guys just did this phenomenal job of bringing that team together. And we wanted to win every test match or every game we played on that tour. And I love I think I heard it on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, Eric Rush talking about it.
Yes, I heard this one.
He said, you know, the big thing for the Wednesday team is that we didn't get to keep our jerseys. Yeah, they had to put their jersey back in the middle of the room after the game. So their incentive was to make sure they got on the Saturday team so they could keep their jersey, their test jersey, which I was like, wow, I didn't even thought about that. But that's pretty cool.
You mentioned strength. You mentioned coming together. How much strength did it take to lift that ridiculous sized trophy back? And we're just talking about the Tri Nations trophy as well. I've got these great images that will certainly roll over this interview at some point. But can we flash back to one of those moments where the trophy and the story, correct me if I'm wrong, Fitzy, it's been measured completely incorrectly. So can you take us through that? And then we've got some great images of that at some point too.
I think it was actually, you were correct. It was meant to be millimeters, and they made it in centimeters. So I think I've seen the trophy since. I think it was down in New Zealand Rugby. But yeah, just a massive trophy. I don't know how I had the energy to lift it. But that was the last game of the Tri Nations, which was in Cape Town. So that was the 4 Saturdays in a row that we played the South Africans. But even that test match, guys, we went into that saying, right, this is like test 1 of our 4 tests. And if we can beat them here, and then we knew we were going to Kings Park the following week for the first test. But that first test in Cape Town was about saying, right, we're going to take you on. And Dowdy, myself, and Olo, being in the front row up against the world champions, that was an area that we really wanted to target.
Fantastic front row that. Hey, was it like it in Cape Town? Was it like it was like it is now? Sorry, like where the All Blacks get fantastic support in Cape Town at the moment. I'm not too sure if like fans in New Zealand truly know how popular the All Blacks are in Cape Town. Like it'll be potentially a 50-50 split for the game this weekend. Was it like that back in 95, 96?
Probably more so, Webby. You think back to the early 70s, the Brian Williams of the world. They were like, they still talk about Brian Williams here as a folk hero. So I don't think it'll be quite like it was in 96. But yeah, it's almost like a home game for us. At Ellis Park, I'm sure you saw the pictures, just green everywhere, literally. It was really hard to pick out. There's probably over 2,000 Kiwis there and supporters, which was amazing. But it's pretty hard to stand out amongst 65,000 South Africans. But I think in Cape Town, I think 50-50 would be a great shout.
Definitely.
Fitzy, let's not beat around the bush. Let's get you in the front row where you deserve. We've just had George Bauer on the show as well, which has been great and a very topical interview after what we saw up front this weekend. Can you explain to the thousands of people at home that haven't been in a brutal scrum confrontation like we saw in the weekend, because there were times, especially close to halftime, I just wanted that first 40 to be over. I wanted to get the hell out of here. This is brutal. Can you explain firstly what it's like when you are under pressure in a scrum like that? Because there's 8 big Saffers coming at you. Like, how do you stay in the fight, let alone turn it around like the boys did?
I think George is in a much better position to tell you about this than me, because he was involved. But you've got to hang in the fight. And for me, the biggest surprise was when they took Ox off. That at 43 minutes, I think it was 45 minutes or something. I was thinking, what are you doing? And then the new prop came on. I think he lasted about 17, 18 minutes, and they dragged him. Which was a real, for the All Black front row. I think that's a huge effort for them. But you can just see, and that's why they didn't capitalise. That's what I'm saying this week. To give away 6 scrum penalties, and I don't know how that was working. There was talk that the angles were all different and doing different things, but you don't see that from 100 yards away. And I was just getting really concerned. 6 penalties, and they didn't capitalise. I think Steph Totoy got that wrong in terms of taking some points, which they will definitely take those points this week. But the way the boys hung in the fight, and then in the second half we started to gain an ascendancy, was phenomenal. So they'll take a lot from that, I'm sure. They'll work out what was going wrong early. I think De Groot got injured really early. Which is a shame. But the boys that came on, and you talk about the South Africans having a big, powerful bench. I didn't see that this week, and I see they've gone to a 5-3 split this week, which is saying to me, we got that wrong. And this All Black team is, the 23 that are going to play. They're all very worthy of a starting position.
How hard is this Saturday going to be, Fitzy? Because I'll give you the tip. We're always scared of this first test and how important it was to win at Ellis Park. But you're getting a Springbok team that's going to bite back, and they're going to bite back pretty hard, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I'd much rather be in our position than their position, without question. To have one under the belt, but we haven't won anything yet, and they know that. These guys, there's enough experience in that team that Dave really knows. I love listening to him at press conferences. He's not getting into any mind games, but we're still 1-up, 1-0. So we'll learn a lot from last week. As I said, all those penalties we gave away, those stupid little penalties we gave away, and they were penalties. We just can't afford to do that, because you've got Pollard there this week for a reason. He is there to kick goals and to control the game, put them in positions in the field where they weren't put in those positions, last week.
Thank you very much to our former All Black captain. Appreciate your time, and make sure you enjoy the rest of the tour, mate. It looks absolutely magical. Cheers, Fitz. And Brad, just a moment on tactics as well. I remember we were talking a little bit about shape with Will Jordan on the first podcast. What did you think about the way we played? Because we kicked a lot more than we thought. We had more kicks than South Africa. 17 plays, All Blacks 19. And we kicked well, to be fair. I thought that was a real strength to do that over there against them. But what did you notice about the strategy between running the ball as well?
Yeah, I mean, there was a real focus for us on the podcast last week, wasn't it, George, around how much the All Blacks were willing to run it from their own end, particularly around a lot of scrum exits that we're having to go, counter attack. We were running first and then kicking, but clearly South Africa did their homework, because they didn't present pictures for us to have a crack at. There was maybe at least two scrums sort of inside our own half that during the Nations Championship we were running it every time, but clearly the pictures that the South Africans were showing that it wasn't on, so we were kicking off first phase. And like you sort of just said around the statistics there, we kicked twice, only 2 more kicks than the South Africans, but obviously the South Africans in general kick a lot. We kicked a lot longer though. I think we're 130, 140 meters more kicked than the South Africans, and we were keeping a lot of these balls in. Like even Cam Roygaard, he's inside the 22 and he has the option to kick long and out, but he goes for a contestable box kick instead. So clearly our tactics were to keep the ball in, try and get that ball in play time up, even though I know it wasn't as high this game, but that was the intent at least. So just really interesting that when you play against a really good defensive team that the South Africans are, that you just don't get as much room to run. So like as optimistic and as willing we are to run the ball, the great thing I think when you think about that though is that we've obviously learnt a lot where we don't have to run it every time.
But we're damn well ready to. Damn right, we're willing to pick and choose the right moment to do so. And when the pictures aren't on, it hasn't been presented to run, then we kick and we back that we'll have an opportunity later in the game, which we have spoken about as well. When Will Jordan's got one opportunity, little pop ball to Damien, that was the chance after a lot of kicking. That was our chance to run it, So I thought that was really really interesting and something that I just noticed as well. It was probably less obvious in the game on the weekend, but a little bit of our attack shape of 10 has changed from the Nations Championship to what we're doing over here. And I wonder if this is because of our expectation to come up against a rush defence. So in the Nations Championship, we were our attack shape of 10 was 9 passes to 10 passed early to a forward pod. How we see here, Ruben straight to Ethan de Groot. He's got time. He goes backdoor to Damien, backdoor to Geordie, and so that was 6 passes in there, George. Yeah, wow. So that is a lot of passes from 9 to 10 and through the forward pod. Whereas I noticed in the game against the Sharks and in previous games where we've gone away from that. Now we're going to 9 passes to 10 drops, dummy cuts with the first forward, and then he's going directly to the back and behind. Now that cuts out one pass, and as you can see, the Sharks are trying to get up high and bring that rush, but getting 1 less pass or 2 less passes in amongst it gives less time for that rush defence to actually get up and put a spot tackle on. So there was less opportunities in the test match on the weekend because of game script, but I do wonder if this is a change that Mike Blair, Dave Rennie, and the attack group in the All Blacks have recognised that if we play through that forward pod, we're not going to have enough time to go backdoor, and if there's opportunities on the wing, like it's just too many passes against a rush defence. So just a real small little bit of detail from the attack shape that I've noticed, and be interesting to see if that carries forward. Because I think over years and years gone by, right, like we've had every team just rush. So it's really nice to see that we can have that other option, which doesn't involve a little chinky kick or a cross-field kick. But
also too with that is that, we've had the world's best in Brodie Retallick for a long time being that link guy. And so it was actually, a guy like him who has playmaking ability, we want to get the ball in that guy's hands. Whereas now, really, our best decision makers, our best playmakers are our 10s and 15s. So it's Ruben Love and it's Damien McKenzie. So let's get the ball in their hand, get them taking it to the line and making decisions at the line rather than putting it into Ethan de Groot's hands and getting him to make decisions. Like, let's get it into these guys they are the best in the world, one of the best in the world at making decisions at the line. Whether to hit or go backdoor, let's give these guys as much opportunity as possible to run that.
This test for me as well, as you say, like this felt like you know, when you watch a test and you kind of just, the game's flowing, the score's sort of, you know, here, there, and everywhere, there's plenty of time. But for me, every single moment was massive in this test. It's like a World Cup final, every knock on, every refereeing decision, which I thought Carly had a great game, by the way. I think there's so many like micro moments that all lead up to such a result like this. And it was amazing to watch. And I absolutely loved seeing Rendog come out in the media and start just throwing stats out at the press conference. So, like, he gave out I've got his little quote here. He said, "We keep giving them ins to our 22. South Africa are the best team in the world. So they score 5.5 points every entry into the 22. So that's a pretty solid share of numbers. Tonight they were 0.9. So whereas the All Blacks were 3.7 every time they enter the 22. Brad, how do you as a player read into that stat? Because I think that's huge to keep the Saffers to one try.
Well, it's a couple of things, isn't it, George? So defensively, the All Blacks were great. They were, I mean, we'll look into Geordie Barrett's performance. We've already spoken about him. His try-saving tackle on Malcolm Marx, which isn't the first time that he's done that in a crucial sort of zone like that. So we're making some crucial plays there. But I guess it also means that the South Africans were a little bit clunky, weren't they? They did look like they hadn't played for a little while.
Sure.
There was quite a few unforced errors. Like the South Africans had 24 total turnovers. That is a lot in a rugby match, and 14 of those errors were unforced. So I guess like if you're an All Blacks team, and I imagine this is probably the reason why Dave Rennie mentioned the stat in his presser, is that he doesn't want his All Black team to get too far ahead of themselves and think that it's going to be that easy, because there's going to be some sort of regression to the mean, right? So yeah, you said that fantastic stat where they averaged 5.5 points per entry. That's incredible, and they only averaged 0.9. So law of averages sort of say that they'll get closer to that mark that they have been averaging. So it's really putting the challenge on Dave Rennie's All Black side to put the South Africans under that sort of pressure again, so that they don't get closer to their average and they stick down to what we kept them to.
I think both coaches have been really good in the media. And when you see Rassie come out already this week and he said, yeah, I made some mistakes. The 6-2 split didn't work for the first time in ages. And he was like, even the subs that he made, he was like the backline stats when, he was saying he put players into the wrong position, and there was simple fixes. He broke up their 12-13 combo pretty early. So like there's so many little things like that I enjoyed hearing from him as well. And you've got to think that the amount of times that his combinations have worked, I can't see him stuffing it up 2 weeks in a row, right? Like this guy has made an amazing career, a name for himself in being really good in that aspect. So we'll certainly see some spite back from the Africans this week.
Well, Harps, remember what we mentioned last week around Dave Rennie's record against the South Africans? Yeah, I think it was three wins out of 4, so it'll be 4 wins out of 5 now. So it's fair to say that Dave Rennie might have Rassie Erasmus's. He's got one up on them for sure. So I guess something about Dave Rennie and coaching against the South Africans. He can just work his magic.
And the Saffers have randomly announced their team extremely early as well, and they have gone back to a 5-3. So he's playing mind games. He's playing mind games already, dropping the team list out this early in the week. What are your thoughts on team list namings, Brad, and when they come out, how they come out? Because I just feel like it should be like cricket or like the NRL. Like when you walk out, here's my team, here's yours. No one can see each other's.
Oh, they'd give us nothing to talk about, though, George.
No, you're right.
But, I don't know why Rassie does it. Because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to, like... It was always the thing when I was still in a monks group, is that you never got a full training session knowing what the opposing team was going to be. So it was hard to prepare. You're kind of preparing on a whole heap of what ifs, really, like what if this player's playing, what if this player's playing, where we can target specific players. So coming out with it this early, I mean, I know that they can make late changes. So we're already seeing that while they've bracketed Sia Khaleesi and De Villiers to be two fantastic players. I guess you're losing nothing by having either of those players playing, right? But yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't know why he does it. That doesn't make sense to me. But George, I just want to take us back to the to Geordie's stuff though.
Oh, mate,
because he's done it for so long.
I was about to do the same thing. He really, really got me excited this week.
How does he keep doing it? I mean, if we can see a few of these clips, like how does he keep getting away with this?
Yeah.
Like,
well, first and
this
foremost,
is just incredible defence.
Yeah, we need to mention that one on Malcolm Marx first and foremost, don't we? This is just phenomenal hand, or just being in the right place at the right moment. But his hand just...
That one was amazing too.
Well, yeah, and as we look back at older ones as well, Brad, he just seems to be there all the time, doesn't he?
Well, if it was a once-off, you could just, put it down to luck, right? But you don't consistently get results like Geordie Barrett is in these sort of situations without actually putting in the work, without thinking about techniques. Because clearly he's aiming directly for the ball. You saw that with the one on the weekend with Malcolm Marx, like he's actually having a slap at the ball, and that was in slow motion, right? At full speed, this is really, really, really hard to do. So he's clearly gone away, and he probably practices it at training. But he's often putting himself in to have the dexterity and the knowledge of where your body is compared to the ball. This guy, fair play. I think he is probably the best 12 in world rugby right now. Do you think?
Because there's just absolutely no way Malcolm Marx doesn't score that try. He scores that try 99 times out of 100, stress-free. So for Geordie to do that, it was incredible. And for me, he was my man of the match. No offence, Will Jordan.
Looking forward to seeing how it works out this weekend too, George, with a massive test match in Cape Town. And it was great insight from Fitzy as well around how this will almost be like a home game for the All Blacks. So a massive second test for us, and a few changes made from the Springboks where it looks like they might be taking potentially a few more kicks at goal and working on their kicking game with Andre Pollard there at 10.
Yeah, I feel like they just need a little bit more direction, right? Obviously, Sasha's an extremely exciting 10 and he's going to be great off the bench. But when their big boys are doing what they did in that first half, they just need to capitalise more. And as Ren said with those stats, I can't see them not capitalising a bit more. So we're going to have to be better than we were, which is almost hard to fathom. But it's super exciting to go 1-0 up. Will hopefully give the lads a lot of confidence. I can't see a huge amount of roundhouse changes coming in, barring what happens, obviously, in this Tuesday night fixture. So, look, it's at the end of the day, you just got to strap them back on and be even better, because when you're 1-0 up against the Saffers, they are going to come back and eat you alive, because we also don't get that much footy, right, at the moment, where you get to play the opposition straight away the next week. So it's a lot of end of year tour, the Nations Championship, all that code is like just one out, hit and run sort of stuff. So I think this is just brilliant.
It's a good point. It's actually like maybe a bit of insight into what a World Cup's like. You got to win a quarterfinal, a semi-final, and a final against three incredibly good opposition. So probably a good time for that, to be fair.
Well, I think this is harder than a World Cup if you're playing South Africa 3-4 times in a row in South Africa. It doesn't. It's just impossible. But yeah, Brad, thoughts on, I guess, the second test? Do you feel confidence, or are you now nervous about what's to come? Where are you sitting?
Before you and I have discussed all the stats from the game and reviewing all the footage, I would have been really confident. Going to Cape Town, a place where the All Blacks have had a lot of great success, we get a lot of support there. Like, I'm going in really confident, and I still am. But man, looking at those stats and how clunky the South Africans were, and how much that the score probably didn't reflect how close the game truly was. Like, it kind of blew out a little bit there in the last 15 minutes. You know, it does have me nervous. I mean, we talked about the stats around the points per 22, the amount of unforced errors that the Springboks have. Like, if that reverts back to the mean, and you know they are a lot sharper this week, then it's going to be a hell of a lot tougher for our All Blacks to win the game. But mate, and Dave Rennie and Ardie Savea and the boys, we trust. Like, I'm still confident, but just looking forward to a hell of a test match, mate. You must be as well, surely.
Yeah. I've already looked at flights for test number 3. I just can't believe I wasn't there for that Ellis Park test, and I'm gonna give it a good crack to at least figure out if I can get there for test number 3. But as you say, this team, this coaching staff, and all the lads have given this nation a lot of pride and a lot of confidence, and I really, really hope that everyone back home's getting up at crazy hours to watch this stuff live, because it doesn't get better when you've made the effort to wake up and you get to witness what you did in the weekend. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy it for a long time, because it's not often you beat South Africa in South Africa, and then switch on come Saturday this weekend for test number 2 in Cape Town. But from Brad Weber, George Harper Jr., this has been an incredible episode 2. The front row boys, the front row sandwich, it was great stuff. So Brad, thanks for all your insights, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. Let's go the mighty All Blacks.